So today I'm in the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N. This is the all-wheel drive N series. It's kind of like a performance series Ioniq 5. There are so many great things that they did to this specific version, in my opinion, that have just opened my eyes to the Ioniq 5 more than they were before. Now, if you watch some of my older videos on the previous Ioniq 5s, the standard versions that I've done before, I am a huge fan of it. It is actually a really nice car. You know, I'm not going to compare it to the vehicle that I already own so much as to say that it's different, but also has a lot of that long range feel, something that I can actually feel good in driving outside of my home area. The Ioniq 5N may not have a super huge range to it, but it is a comfortable range, and a range that I've actually used now on 2 different trips. So I've actually done some good driving in this car, so in long range driving. But there's a lot of things that this specific vehicle brings to the table in terms of its fun feel, its performance features that I definitely want to go over before I have to hand it back. So sit back and relax. Let's talk about the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N edition. So like I said, today we're in the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N. Now this series is like the Ioniq 5s that come before it, but definitely souped up performance model, right? It's the N series platform that Hyundai is known for. It is fast. I've done the 0-60s on it. It was great. I got them under 3.3 seconds. It was great. It was so much fun. This is the first car outside of my own that I just had a blast driving for the last week. Now, range, I've actually done a couple trips on this well outside of 160 plus miles. And it is a comfortable car to drive long range, which is great to actually finally have another one. And of course, there are plenty of them out there, but one that I actually feel comfortable doing. The Ioniq 6 was another one I definitely felt comfortable driving outside of my area, but this one does it as well, but this one's more fun to drive. This also has some modes. Yeah, it does have eco mode, normal driving mode, sport mode, and that sport mode is what I did my 0-60 times with. But it also has their N series mode that actually makes it sound like it has a gas engine in it. So you actually get the engine noise and everything. But on top of that, it actually shows the shifting. So you can actually see, gear 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's a 10-speed electric modifier or whatever you estimated transmission. It doesn't actually have it, but it actually does the shifting with releasing the electric mode and bringing it back in. It's really well done. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And of course, if you like that sound of the engine going up through the gears, you're really going to like that mode. It's fun. It's not something that I'm going to use regularly or daily, but it is something that I do find myself turning back on from time to time because it's just fun to do, and it brings back that nostalgia. Also, not everybody likes the sound of an engine, but you can also, not only can you do it with the shifting modes in this, there are I think there's 3 different noise modes that you can turn on outside of that. So even if you're in eco mode or whichever mode you're driving in, you can add like an electric noise or something that makes it sound a little bit different than what it does when it's kind of in the standard just electric driving quiet mode. So without further ado, we're gonna this video is gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna actually jump into now. I'm going to do a trip that I did and kind of walk through the trip that I did using a charge point charger, the actually same charger I'm at right now, actually recharging again, and just kind of talk to benefits and costs to driving this specific car depending on your area. We don't have any Electrify America chargers here in the Eastern Iowa area. There are a whole bunch of Tesla chargers, but I don't have, I think you can do it on the Hyundais now, but I don't have the adapter anyway, so I have to use these outside chargers. So that said, step back, relax, let's look at the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N. So I'm not going to do the full walk around on this vehicle because a lot of the stuff is very similar to the standard Ioniq 5, but you can see the dash here is, very reminiscent, at least above. But the center console is where the big difference is. You don't have this big pass-through area. Now you actually have a nice Qi charger here, 2 USB-C ports there, another USB-C port here, 12 volt. You have a customizable cup area or beverage area, I guess, with the standard kind of Hyundai item there. You do have a small armrest center console here, and then even in the glove box we have ample storage for everything that you need to do. So without going too crazy into everything, this is, I really like this setup. It's pretty solid in all reality, it is. So right now I'm going to throw the N mode on, which is going to emulate a manual mode. And so you can not only can you hear the shifting and you can hear the engine, you can feel the shifting just in actually the driving. It actually has this slight hesitation when it goes from one gear to the next, like you would in a standard manual vehicle. Even if you don't have a shifter, if you actually just using paddle shifters, you're still going to feel that change in the transmission, and you feel it, which is really cool. It just brings back that nostalgic, you know, part of driving with a gas engine with a manual transmission. It's just really neat. But upon all that, I can actually use the paddle shifters and actually shift the vehicle itself.
Continue onto 5th Avenue Southwest.
But the neat thing about it is, not only am I feeling and hearing the shifting, I'm actually feeling the shifting, but if I shift down, I'll feel the actually slow down the vehicle like I'm dropping into a lower gear. So right now I'm in 4, if I bring it down to 2, I can feel that hesitation. It feels like the electric braking, basically. The regenerative braking is kicking in more and more, and essentially that's what it's doing, right? It's just mimicking the really neat capability of a manual vehicle with an EV. And that just brings in just a really neat aspect, a really neat point of what this vehicle can do outside of the standard EV vehicle. And it's just enjoyable. And now the same thing goes if I was to put my foot down more, the engine's going to be louder yet. It's going to act essentially, it's the first true manual gas-powered electric car. And of course I'm in manual mode, but if I press and hold the shifter, it'll go back into automatic. It's just really cool and how it actually operates. I go to my first trip with a non-Tesla vehicle, and this is going to be 150, 200 mile trip, so let's see how she goes. Now the vehicle's telling me 236 miles of range. See how accurate that part is. Now this is a common thing, so I haven't only traveled probably 3 or 4 miles total. I'm already down to 270 mile range, but that's just because it's estimated based on my current driving habits, and I'm inside a city with a bunch of hills. So yeah, so just so you know, that's where I'm sitting right now, but we'll see what happens when I get on the highway. Cool thing, going from the N mode and then choosing the drive mode here, I can get into 240 miles of range. So it does go by that setting too, so that's pretty awesome. And I will say eco mode has no power to it at all. So when I push the pedal down, it is just really sluggish, which is exactly what you would expect, right? So yeah. So I'm actually halfway through my trip, and I got 127 mile range, 60% remaining, which to be honest is way more than enough to get back to where my house is. I've only got an hour and 20-minute drive. But I do want to check out the charging infrastructure. So that said, I will say this. On the map here, the neat thing is that I can do this. So I can go here and I can display EV range, and it can show me from where I am here in Iowa, roughly how far I can go. So Dubuque is where I live. It's definitely within the range. I have no problem. I could definitely do this without charging, but like I said, I want to check out this charging infrastructure and seeing how that works. That said, if I'm back here on the map as well, I can go here, for instance, and go nearby info, show me nearby POIs, and see the EV charging stations, and then I can see the various EV charging stations, the one I'm literally parked at the come and go here. But yeah, but I did want to at least show where I was. And yeah, try out this charger. Free wire charger, CCS, and yeah, so that's what I need. 35 cents a kilowatt hour. Available. Credit cards typically not accepted to use the charge point app. Alright, so be it. So I took this, plugged it into the car, used the charge point app to start the charging, and you can see it is now going. Now I know that this may seem real easy to everybody that's using this, but I'm used to the Tesla charging station where I just pull up and plug in. And so I've only used a charge point once with my Tesla, and it was a much smaller station, not as fancy one as this one is. Weird thing is they have the pay station there, but apparently it's not working, which doesn't sound wrong. But yeah, I figure I'll just get some power and see how she goes. One thing is for sure, my dear Lord, is that a big cable. Right on. So while sitting here charging, you can see here a nice big display of what's going on and how it's charging up. Remaining at 41 minutes if we were going to go all the way to 100%. 11 minutes to 80%, which I'm not going to go up that high. I'm just going to go up another, 65, 70% or something. But that's the thing. So the worst part of this experience is not terrible. It's the amount of time. I came out, I had to plug it into my car, I had to get out the charge point app, which wasn't that hard, find this charger on the app, then it said, and then I said, okay, there's the start charge. I hit the start charge button, and it asks me on the app, do you see this, the name of it at the top of the display to make sure. It didn't even say that on the screen at all. It gave the address here, and it didn't give the address at all on the app unless you went out of that point. So that was kind of weird. Then I hit start charging, and it still took 15 to 20 seconds before it literally started charging. So it's the time. It's the one thing that you shouldn't have to do when you have an EV, because I don't have to stand by this when it's charging like you would with a gas pump. You should be standing next to that to monitor it. I shouldn't have to do that here. So it took backing in, getting out, plugging it in, getting the app out, getting that. It took 45 seconds before it started charging. That's 45 seconds that I don't have to worry about with my Tesla. And it's nothing against the car. I love the car, but I can see why it's going to be so great once everybody gets standardized, because that process was kind of infuriating a little bit, just the amount of time. Now, of course, if I'm going to sit in the car and not do anything, that's time that I don't really care. But that is 45 seconds that I wasn't charging because I was waiting for it to charge. So there's just those small things that I think they got to work on yet. But of course, everything's going over at NACS, and it's going to change, and hopefully all for the better. One more thing is this little stupid thing. I hate that little thing. And there we are. Got to 75%. I had to go to the restroom anyway. $5.87. Woohoo! Okay, so about to go on my journey. And she's fully charged, so it allows you to pull it out, I guess, if it's fully charged without unlocking the car. Interesting. Okay. I get this put away as my little adapter and check the car. So I still have it open, but the charge door at least, but that shouldn't matter. Approach the car, she unlocks for you. And what is she saying? Let's see here. Let's turn her on. 100% charge, 252 miles. So I apologize, the radio pulled my my phone off from recording when it was attempting or connecting CarPlay. But that said, so we are 252 miles of range in normal. If I go to sport mode, 244. If I go to eco, 259, which is definitely more than the, I think it's like 220 something, I think is the EPA rated mileage. So that's pretty awesome. And in all reality, I think we've been doing pretty good. So this trip that I have planned today is going to be a little over 160 miles. We'll obviously keep track, 12 miles on the odometer currently. And then we'll see how this guy does again. So this is the second trip that I've done with this vehicle, and the first one went awesome. Okay, so about halfway through my journey, 82 miles is what I've gone. I've used about 114 miles worth of range, or 38% of my range. Now, I will say this, the first couple percentage points that I used, I actually got out my race box and did the 0 to 60 on this guy, and was quite awesome. I mean, I did two different readings, averages about 3.35, 0 to 60, so that's pretty awesome, which did eat some battery because I did that in sport mode. So in sport mode, 137 miles of range, eco mode 145. On the interstate or highway, I mean, I was averaging around 71 miles an hour or whatever, 2.4 miles per kilowatt. But we'll see with the rest of this journey, because I'm not planning on doing anything else out of eco mode anymore before I get home, and we'll see. But just about halfway point. So just so you know, I literally just plugged it in. Unfortunately, I have to change my plan, but so I have to get some extra miles in here. But 59% is what I was at when I plugged in. 1,900 miles. It was like 128 miles of range. 128, I think. So right now I'm charging again, but that's where we at. We did, what, 88 miles in that, yeah, 42% of the battery, or 41% of the battery. Not too bad. I think based on what I've said in this video, it goes without saying that I really like this car. It brings fun into EV. Not only that, but it can still just be the standard Ioniq 5 that you come and know to love, right? It's a solid EV, but with all these extra features that you can turn on and off at your liking, at your disposal, which is what makes the N series such a better vehicle than most EVs on the market. It's just cool. It really is. So putting in, having that vehicle that shifts, and it's an automatic manual. Then you flip it into manual and you actually have a paddle shifted manual. It's just a lot of really cool features. Now it even has this NGB button, which is basically a boost button to give you a little extra. It's just a really cool car. I highly recommend checking out the Ioniq 5N. I'm not talking, I haven't talked too much about the downsides or the things that I don't like about this vehicle, because there are fewer than there were with the Ioniq 5, but there are still a few. For instance, the door handles that stick out and stay out even when, whenever the vehicle is unlocked. They still don't have a feature where when it doesn't sense the key for maybe, a minute or something, if I turn that feature on, I would love for it to automatically lock the doors. I prefer that, right? I like that. It saddens me that it still isn't here because obviously it has the approach to unlock, which I love. Absolutely love. This is also a $67,000 car. Does not have electric powered seats. I don't know why. I really don't at that price point. I really don't understand why it doesn't have it. Again, once you set the seats, you're going to be probably fine. But going between multiple drivers and having different sets, distances for the seat for each driver, you don't have that with this. It's an all manual seat. It's not a huge thing, but it is a thing to mention, specifically at the price point of the car. I like the layout of the dash. I really like the N series driving mode that I've been using actually the majority of the time, but I can actually take it back to the standard Ioniq 5 driver information cluster as well, should I choose to. Just so much fun. So this boost button, the NG boost, is like adding, I think they say 40 horsepower to the car. So when you click it, you get 10 seconds of just more power capability to your car. So if you click it, you see the 10-second countdown, and then all of a sudden, whoa, holy crap, just gives super boost. Just pretty cool. And then of course after the 10-second runs out, then you're back to whatever driving mode that you were in prior. In this case, I think I'm in eco mode, and now in normal. Yeah, I was in eco mode. But yeah, that's what you get with that NG boost. It's just basically 10 seconds of super boost to if you need to get around somebody on the highway or whatever. It's just fun. So these last two buttons down here, these N series buttons, this one has like a custom setting that you can customize and turn on and off. And then this guy over here is actually where you turn on the manual modes or go back to standard EV drive modes. So just quick and easy access to it. That's the nice thing. So under the sound settings on the radio is where we have the N Active Sound Plus, where we have ignition sound, where it's not going to be super loud because I am on the highway. Evolution, which gives kind of a whiny electric sound, and then supersonic, I guess inspired by fighter jets. So kind of like a whistling noise almost. And then you can turn that off and just go silent. So I don't know how well you could hear that from my phone's camera, but it is there. One other item I didn't mention just is there is no sunroof or panoramic roof or anything on this at all. So again, it's just one of those things that I did want to mention. at the price point the car is at, there are a few things missing on this specific car. Not to say that to be honest, I'm not a huge sunroof guy. Panoramic roofs are neat, but I do like to have shade during the summer. So, like right now, this is how I would prefer it. But, during other times of the year, I do like having the glass roof. So, that's a personal choice. That is the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5. And I really like this car. This is the first non-Tesla electric car that I've really liked. There are other ones that I do like a lot, like the Ioniq 6. Big fan of that one. I really enjoyed driving that one. The aesthetics of the car is one area or the other, but I really do like that car, and it's a great car. But this one is so much more fun. It's the first Hyundai that I'm not joking that I would consider purchasing myself. The only caveat to that is I want the NACS plug. So, everything's going to that, and we'll see how it goes in the future. But being as open and honest as I can, this is a great car. This is a great car. I really like this car. It's fun. It looks great, especially in the orange color. Great job, Hyundai. I really hope to see more of these in the future. I'm really looking forward to, hopefully, if they do an N version of the Ioniq 6, maybe, we'll see, make some really cool changes to that car too. Wireless CarPlay. This one has wireless CarPlay. I don't understand why the 2024 Ioniq 6 doesn't. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that said, this one does. So it brings a lot of those features that were missing from the older series into the modern era. So thank you for watching to the end of this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I will have more coming up. But that is the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5. And great car. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.